Thomas Gradine. And the Hawks get possession. Murray shot it to the Vancouver line. Snaps cleared it. And now here's Glenn Sharpley dumping it in for Chicago. Wires Lindgren, number 13 for the Canucks. Cleared it on the board. Now here breaking out is Gradine. Number 23, Gradine shoots. Esposito to his knees. Now Fraser trying to center. Greg Fox knocked that down and shot at the center. Lindgren at his own line to Snaps, number 27. Savard checks in. Now Sharpley into the Vancouver zone. And Fraser for the Canucks trying to clear it. Savard knocked it down and did so with a high stick, so play is called. And the faceoff is going to be outside the Vancouver Canucks blue line. Gary Green, you've heard noisy buildings before. Have you ever heard a roar like that when they drop the puck?
Well, Dan, this place takes the cake. There's no question about it. That tremendous organ that they have here, and these fans, if they ever revved up, it should be an exciting hockey game.
Dom Lysiak on the faceoff against Bolderev. The Hawks get it. Dave Hutchison shot it in. Now it's cleared right back out by Doug Hallward. And the Hawks have it at their own blue line. Hutchison to Lysiak. Dom Lysiak, number 12. Trying to set up Bully. DeLorme intercepting it. Now Wilson has shot. That deflects wide. And here's Tiger Williams to DeLorme at center. Wilson broke that up to number 29, Ted Bully. He got it across the line, but Bolderev cleared it up. This is Doug Wilson firing it back in. Brodeur steered it to the side. Tim Higgins tries to center. Did, but Bully was knocked down in front of the net. And back comes Vancouver with Bolderev leading the rush. Bolderev couldn't get around Wilson, who took him out of the play. Hutchison feeding it to Bully. Picked up by Lysiak. He shot at the center. Now Colin Campbell at the Vancouver blue line, flipping it into the Hawk zone, and as Lysiak gets the puck, they wave off the icing ruling. Chicago should have or could have played it. Lysiak shooting it off a Vancouver player into the Vancouver zone. Bellin around on the boards to Rhoda. Rhoda with a lead pass at center ice, and the Canucks shot as far as the blue line. Back comes Greg Fox. Checked by Browser. He shot it near the Hawk line. Feenstra cleared it out to Grant Mulvey. Now a loose puck at center. Ruskowski taken out of the play. And Bellin for Vancouver shoots it into the Hawk zone. This is number 22, Mulvey, to Fox. Back over now to Dave Feenstra. To Ruskowski to Mulvey. Snaps took him out of the play. And Bellin trying to clear it. Feenstra held it in. He centered one. Broken up, and here's Vancouver breaking to center. Moving in on the wing with a shot as Rhoda. Esposito handled that. Back comes Feenstra. To Preston, to Ruskowski, number 8. Terry Ruskowski's shot is blocked at the Canucks defense. Now Smeal. Lead pass to Gradine. Doug Wilson broke it up. Shoots it into the Vancouver zone. Smeal back after it. Neal to Eldebrink. Anders Eldebrink to Gradine. He's checked. Now the puck again at the Vancouver line. Cleared into the center ice area, now picked up by Lars Lindgren. Lindgren, number 13, dumping it in. Secord back for Chicago. Secord in his own zone to Dave Hutchison. Cleared it around to the boards to Sharpley. He got it into the center ice area. Broken up, and this is Gradine. Dropping it back to Lindgren. Now to Eldebrink. Eldebrink cleared to center. Secord then upended Smeal. Here's Eldebrink. In across the line. Eldebrink couldn't clear it. Here's Savard to Sharpley. One man back. Sharpley drive it high off the glass. Lindgren cleared it. Here's Hutchison. Into Sharpley. Sharpley at the side of the net. Checked by Lindgren. And the Canucks clear it out on the right wing boards to Smeal. He headmans it to Lindgren. Lindgren got to the line, and then the play went offside at the Chicago Blackhawks blue line. No score, 16-15 left in the first period. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
We know most of you folks in Peoria have worked all year.
Yes.
That your paychecks have been assaulted by every kind of tax they could think of.
Yes.
But wait, some of you pay too much.
Yes.
It's tax refund time.
Yes.
When your check comes, we say make the best investment of your life in a waterbed on which you will spend 1/3 of your life.
Yes.
If you haven't received your check yet, the bedroom place guarantees you the lowest price through our layaway plan for 90 days, interest-free.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Ready for a face-off at the Chicago blue line. Puck comes to Hallward. He fired it in. Esposito handles that, and Feimster then cleared it to Lysiak. Tom Lysiak to Ted Bully. Bully into the Vancouver zone with a shot. That's cleared aside by Brodeur and Ivan Goldarev. Got it to Delorme. He's checked at center ice, and it is now Fox for Chicago. Number 2, Greg Fox to Lysiak. Shoots one, and he shot it wide. Now Feimster at the point. Into the corner, checked by Williams. He can't clear it. Hallward is there to shoot it away. And back comes Vancouver, led by Doug Hallward. Hallward dropping one back to Boldarev, in front to Hallward. Esposito the save, and then it's cleared away by the Hawks. Here's Colin Campbell. Fired it in behind the net. Tiger Williams into the corner. Boldarev got it in front. Feimster intercepts, and now play is called, and we're going to get a penalty here against Chicago and against Tom Lysiak. A hooking penalty coming up against Lysiak. And so Vancouver will have a power play opportunity here in the first period.
Dan, Vancouver Canucks thus far in playoffs have only been 20% on their power play opportunities. 5 out of 25, so we'll have to see what they can do on this opportunity coming up, but you can bet they'll be trying to shoot a lot from the point and certainly getting some guys in front of that net area.
Meanwhile, we'll have a face-off as the penalty is called against Lysiak. Hooking penalty at 4:48. So Vancouver with a power play opportunity here. Vancouver have not been that productive on the power play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Only 5 goals, a 20-point percentage with the man advantage. On the face-off, they rule the puck was dropped unfairly. They'll do it over again. Vancouver's power play has Bradeen, Smeel, and Fraser up front. It is going to be Bellin. He moves into the face-off circle. And the other point man is Lars Bolin. He shoots one, and he shot it wide. Now Bill Gardner for the Hawks, getting it to Rick Patterson. Patterson into the Vancouver zone. That's broken up. Now a jam up on the board. Puck still loose. Here's Bradeen dropping it back behind his own goal. Belland up the middle for Fraser. Doug Wilson cleared it away. Now it is Murray shooting it to the Vancouver line. Number 15, Neil Belland, back to pick it up. Belland for the Canucks. Clearing one on left wing to Moline. He dumps it into the Hawk zone. Back that's cleared is Gardner, but it's knocked down on the board by Fraser. Here's Bob Murray behind the net. Cleared it on the board. Now it comes back to the point to Belland to drive. That goes wide. Here is Bradeen. Bradeen. Back to Belland. A shot, and it's blocked by Gardner, who clears it out of there for the Blackhawks. 55 seconds left in the penalty. Excellent penalty killing by Chicago.
Well, Billy Gardner certainly is doing an excellent job out there along with Patterson.
Here's Ruskowski now out for Chicago. He circles all the way into his own zone. Passing it to Dave Feimster, who cleared it off the boards and down the ice. And the roar of the crowd goes with every good move by the Blackhawks here at Chicago Stadium. 30 seconds left of the penalty as Eldebrink, number 10, comes to center. He fired it in, and the play is offside at the Chicago blue line. 23 seconds left in the penalty to Lysiak.
Well, Dan, you know, the Chicago penalty killing team has just been doing an excellent job thus far in playoffs. They have 83% killing percentage, and that is really one heck of a good percentage during playoffs, because that's really when a lot of power play teams really take charge. Certainly, Chicago Blackhawks doing an excellent job.
The Islanders have taken the lead against the Quebec Nordiques 1-0. Brian Trottier getting the goal. Here it is scoreless in the first period as the Canucks start out of their own zone, still operating on the power play. Anders Eldebrink fires it in. Big rebound off the boards. Esposito cleared it away, but once the Chicago player had touched the puck, the play was called on an icing call, and the faceoff goes back into the Vancouver zone now with just 5 seconds left in the penalty to Lysiak.
And then we see Ruskowski and Preston as Chicago's second team out there. You know, Ruskowski didn't really have a very good season, but yet he's the leader of this hockey club. 7 or 8 goals for the season. That's not a very productive year for your captain. But yet Chicago thinks an awful lot of this guy. He leads the team off the ice and on the ice. He's a heck of a worker out there.
Here comes the face-off to the left of the Vancouver goal. Just 5 seconds left in Lysiak's penalty. Rick Patterson against Bolderev. Bolderev wins the draw cleanly. And the Canucks have possession, but the penalty against Lysiak now expires. Eldebrink clearing it around on the boards to Lindgren. Lindgren to Bolderev. Bolderev got the center, was checked there. Now it is shot in by Rhoda. Greg Fox for the Blackhawks back to get it to Higgins, number 15. Lead pass to Lysiak, too far ahead. Eldebrink racing back, and they rule it. He touched the puck. So it's icing now against Chicago. Tom Lysiak looked around at the linesman as if to say he didn't touch it. With the score, Chicago nothing, Vancouver nothing. We'll return to Chicago Stadium right after this.
Looking for the right fields to invest in. The right investments in those fields can be frustrating. That's why Merrill Lynch does the groundwork with research. To seek out the best investments, Merrill Lynch brought together the best researchers. And it is turning up the unseen or overlooked that makes us what we are. Merrill Lynch, a breed apart.
With Gary Green and Al Krutwig, this is Dan Kelly at Chicago Stadium. 12 minutes, 59 seconds left in the first period, no score. Face off in the Chicago zone, and Doug Wilson beats Al Secor. At center to Savard. Here's Savard around the defense. Big save! Rebound! And Brodeur cleared that away. Oh, Savard with a brilliant move, and then an equally brilliant save by Brodeur. Here's Hallward back to the net. Trying to clear it. Secor into the corner. Fights Gradine for the puck. Gradine able to clear it. And the Canucks come out of there with Lars Bolin, number 26. Leaving it for Gradine. To Fraser. He shoots wide. And then it is cleared away by Wilson. Secor got it to the line. Held in by Fraser, but Hutchison gives it to Doug Wilson. Wilson couldn't get it into the Vancouver zone. Secor drops it to Hutchison. Hutchison goes sharply. He's checked by Colin Campbell. And the Canucks come to center, led by Gradine. Around Hutchison. Shooting shot! Thomas Gradine walked in on the left side, made a fancy move to beat Hutchison, and slapped it by Esposito.
Dan, it was certainly a very pretty move that Gradine put on Hutchison. He faked really to his right and then went to his left and to the outside. He really didn't have that great of a shooting angle, but he found the open room on Tony Esposito.
Meanwhile, the move that Gradine made on Dave Hutchison was the key to the goal.
Well, there's no question about it, but what a great shot he got off as well. He really put a lot of his energy into taking that slap shot, and boy, did it find the open hole.
So Vancouver strikes here in the first period and takes a 1-0 lead. Thomas Gradine, the Swedish import, getting the goal. Kurt Fraser an assist. 8:02 the time of the goal. So that is the scoring play. And Vancouver has a 1-0 lead. Esposito, in his most recent outing, had a shutout against St. Louis in Game 6 of that series. His 6th Stanley Cup career shutout. Here is Jim Nill for Vancouver, shooting it into the Hawk zone. Patterson is there to clear it. It comes all the way into the Vancouver zone. And Brodeur sets it up for number 15, Bellin. Over on the right wing boards to Jim Nill. Now they work it to Mark Crawford, who shot it in. The Blackhawks move it smartly out of there. Marsh giving it to Feimster. Dave Feimster. Over to Bill Gardner. Snap checked him. Feimster flipped it in behind the net. And Brodeur cleared it away. And Vancouver's nil. Gives it to Brosser. He's bumped by Gardner, but Bellin took it away from him. Here's Bellin moving in, and the play goes offside at the Chicago Blackhawks blue line. 11-12 left in period one. It is 1-0 for Vancouver. Meanwhile, Gary, you go back to the big save that Brodeur made on Dennis Savard.
Well, he certainly did make a beautiful save. You know, Savard put just an excellent move on Colin Campbell and Hallward on defense, Vancouver's defense there. And really, Secord had an excellent opportunity for that rebound. But Brodeur certainly looked sharp on it. It probably is an indication of what we should expect tonight in the remainder of the game from him.
Face-off coming up with the Chicago line. We're having some technical problems here at Chicago Stadium. We ask you to bear with us. Here is Secord flipping it in. Going back is Eldebrink for Vancouver. Eldebrink just picks an opening and shot it all the way down the ice. Greg Fox going back as he plays the puck. An icing call against Vancouver. 1-0, the Canucks lead it.
Well, Dan, you know, a fair amount of this game thus far, halfway through the first period almost, I think that we can expect a lot of it to be played in the neutral ice area. Both clubs being so defensive-minded, they're really standing up in the blue line and holding each team out.
Face-off coming up to the right of the Vancouver goal. 1-0, the Canucks leading the scoring play. Verdeen from Fraser at 8:02. Now we get ready for a face-off as Ruskowski takes the face-off. They rule the puck was dropped unfairly, so they'll do it over again. .55 now left in period one. 1-0 for Vancouver. Over the season series, Vancouver won the season series against the Blackhawks 2-1, including the last victory of that season series right here in Chicago Stadium by a 4-1 score. Here's Preston from the faceoff. Got it near the Canuck goal. Brodeur out of the net, but lets Eldebrink clear it. Knocked down by Rich Preston. Preston into the corner. Lindgren tying him up. Now in comes big Grant Mulvey. Eldebrink pins him against the boards. Here's Ruskowski. Got it in front, but broken up. And back comes Vancouver as Jerry Miner cleared it to Moline, and it's called back on the two-line offside, and we'll have a face-off inside the Canuck blue line.
Well, Dan, you know, in Vancouver's end zone, even when Chicago did have possession of the puck, there was an opportunity at that time that really no one was in the clear. Vancouver's close checking, their great positional play. Chicago weren't able to get it.
Face-off coming up just inside the Vancouver blue line. 1-0, the Canucks leading as Moline, who's out in the forward line with Miner and Fraser, shoots it into the Chicago zone. And that's an icing call as Bob Murray goes back to play the puck. And the face-off will come all the way back into the Vancouver zone. You're very familiar, Gary, with Roger Nielsen from your days at Peterborough. He was the head coach at Peterborough in the Ontario Junior League, and I guess that was your first big break. He hired you as an assistant coach.
Well, they did at a very young age as well, Dan, and I'm certainly very grateful. And I know I'm not supposed to build Roger Nielsen up tonight too much because no paid political announcements for Roger Nielsen. Is that right?
Well, that's what Bob Fulford told me. He, of course, Fulford, the Chicago GM and coach. Face-off coming up to the right of Richard Brodeur, the Vancouver goaltender, who has been sensational in the playoffs for Vancouver. Here's Dennis Savard against Gradine. They're going to play Gradine as much as they can against Savard. Now on the face-off, the Canucks win the draw. Spiel got it and snapshot at the center. Doug Wilson giving it to Secor. Here's Secor. Flipping it in. Savard digs in after it. Savard got it in front to Sharpley. Right through the goal crease. And now Vancouver. Smeal played it off the boards and down the ice. Going back is Murray. As he touches the puck, Gradine hammered him into the boards, but it's icing against the Vancouver Canucks in a face-off all the way back in the Vancouver zone. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
Hi, Joe Gray here. And Jim Small. We have a lot of these leftover Kawasaki's that we're closing out at unbelievable low prices. Prices that you can afford.
Prices you can't refuse. $1,399 for this 305 CSR.
And $1,499 for this 440 LTD. And always remember that nobody walks away from Gray Boy. They ride away on a Kawasaki.
Gray Boy Kawasaki, 4426 North Prospect, Peoria Heights.
Here we go from a face-off in the Canuck zone. Doug Wilson to Preston. Preston gets away from Gradine, cuts in front, centered one, a shot, a score! Wiskowski! And it's tied 1-1. Listen to this roar at Chicago Stadium. Well, the play came from the corner to the right of Brodeur. Preston got it in front of the net. Wiskowski let a backhander go with his back to the net. He didn't know he had scored until he heard the crowd roar. And that ties it at 1-1 on the goal by Wiskowski.
Dan, maybe he was saving up some of those goals for playoffs because he didn't score many, as we said, during the year. But certainly this is a very important one here right now.
So we're tied at 1-1 as the puck comes into the Chicago zone. Fox back to get it. The Feenstra now to Higgins. Velasiak to Tim Higgins. Higgins moving in around Colin Campbell. The Vancouver Canucks will have to play shorthanded as Campbell is sent off. We are live at Chicago Stadium. We'll return right after this.
You've got a Pepsi generation way of tasting life. I can see it in your style, your look, your laugh, your smile. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're the Pepsi generation, sharing one great taste for life. Pepsi's got your taste for life.
The Chicago scoring play, Wiskowski from Preston and Wilson at 10-11. Now the latest statistic, Colin Campbell a hooking penalty here at 10:27. So Chicago on the power play. Here's Doug Crossman to Tom Lysiak. Into the corner to Secor. Al Secor giving it to Lysiak. Back to Crossman. To Doug Wilson. To Lysiak. Rolled to Secor, and he didn't have a stick on the ice. Just failed to tip it in. You are supposed to have your stick on the ice in front of the net. If you want an example, you just saw one from Al Secor, or he would have had a goal. Here's Savard to Secor. Broken up and cleared by Lindgren. Now it came outside the line, and Doug Wilson carried it back in offside at the Vancouver Blue Line. That's a big part of hockey schools, isn't it? Keep your stick on the ice.
There's no question about that, Dan. And you know, you think a guy that scored over 40 goals this year, Al Secor, he didn't get it from having his stick in the air. If he had had his stick, as you indicated, down, he would have received that beautiful pass right across almost right across the crease. Would have been an easy tip in for him.
A minute 27 left in the penalty to Colin Campbell of Vancouver. Savard, Secord, and Lysiak up front. Doug Crossman and Doug Wilson on defense. Here's Wilson to Lysiak. Into the Canuck zone it goes, and Steps clears it out of there and down the ice. This is Crossman, number 23. Chicago on the power play. Here's Lysiak to Savard. Savard leaving it for Secord. He was checked before he could shoot on a good play by Gradine. Now Secord into the corner to Savard. Savard to Crossman, a shot, blocked at the defense, still loose, and Gradine cleared it out of there for Vancouver. Wilson has it for Chicago. To Savard. Savard moving in, shoots, that's deflected just wide. And then Preston as it bounced off the board, trying to tip it in. Well, Savard is showing his speed here early in this game.
Well, Dan, he's got more moves. I tell you, you said it in the opening tonight that this guy is one of the most exciting, putting Wayne Gretzky aside in the National Hockey League. And boy, I'll tell you, he's got continually, every time you watch him, he's got more moves pulling out of his hat. And to think that he's only played 2 years in the league, where do we see this guy continue more and more?
Dennis Savard is the man we're talking about. He leaves the ice now. 40 seconds left in the Vancouver penalty to Campbell. Ruskowski on the faceoff against Miner. Miner got the draw. Harold Snep's trying to clear it out. Does get it to center ice. And Bob Murray is back to pick it up. Now here's Ruskowski flipping one into the Vancouver zone. Lars Lindgren back to try and clear it. Knocked down by Ruskowski. Now here is Sneps trying to shoot it out. Comes to center ice. Picked up by Moline. Lars Moline moving in. Shoots one, and Esposito made a glove save on the short side. He didn't seem any too sure about where that puck was for a moment. But he did the right thing. He stopped the puck. Well, we finally have some of our technical problems cleared up, and we can tell you you're now looking at Harold Sneps, the Vancouver defenseman. We have gone through over 12 minutes of this game without the aid of a monitor, so if we've been talking about something that you haven't been seeing, bear with us. Should have got you to tell some of your old Peterborough stories during that technical problem. 11 seconds now remaining in the penalty to Vancouver as here is Chicago's Rich Preston to center. Preston shooting one around on the board. In behind the net is Mulvey out in front. Oh, and he shot it right by an open net. Now back to the goal. Mulvey again shoots. He shoots wide again. Here's Feaster as the Hawks drop it back. Fred Fox shooting. He shot it wide. Now Ruskowski to Preston. He shoots wide. And then it bounced out in front, and the Canucks come back with Colin Campbell flipping along one end. This is Feaster. 1-1 the score here in the first period. Feaster to Fox to Ruskowski. Doug Hallward knocked it down. Now Mulvey firing it in. Digging in is Ruskowski for the Hawks. Taken out of the play in the corner. Now Bully comes in for Chicago. Big jam up. In is Higgins. He got it to Ruskowski. A shot. Roger, a big save on Ruskowski. Meanwhile, we'll have a penalty to Anders Eldebrink, who pulled Ruskowski down. So a penalty called against Vancouver. They have just killed off one, and now they'll have to kill off another. The official network of the National Hockey League is bringing you live from Chicago Stanley Cup action. More after this.
Harvey Martin of the Dallas Cowboys, a profile.
Not bad, huh? Well, this is the new me. I used to be ashamed of my profile. My jaw stuck out, my teeth didn't meet, and when I ate, I had problems chewing. Well, it was embarrassing. But that was before I had reconstructive surgery. It changed my looks, my speech, and it changed my life. Facial abnormalities can be corrected. Ask your oral surgeon or orthodontist.
The Educational Foundation of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons has presented this message.
Chicago on a power play in this 1-1 game. Here's Doug Crossman to Lysiak. Shoots, Brodeur, kick that out. Secord. Now to Crossman. A drive that deflects wide. Sneps is there to clear it. And Gradine shoots it out of there for Vancouver. Doug Wilson going back for the Blackhawks. He's a key man on their power play. 39 goals scored during the regular season. He gives it to Doug Crossman. Back to Wilson. Number 24, Wilson. To Tom Lysiak. And the play is into the Vancouver zone. Back to Crossman. Over to Wilson. Shoots. Brodeur the save. Rebound. Oh, and he stopped Lysiak on the rebound. And Lysiak can't believe Brodeur stopped the rebound.
Well, Dan, is Lysiak ever mad? And I don't question that he's probably mad, because he just saw Brodeur make a save on him that he probably doesn't think is even possible. Let's watch it. The pass over to Wilson. Wilson winds up with a shot. And you saw Secord almost got a stick on it, but it came right back to Lysiak, and he had Brodeur right to the opposite side of the net. And he let off a shot that Brodeur just came. Watch it. We'll see it from another angle here. Again, watch the shot from Wilson. Secord just coming in front, but now the rebound goes out. Look where Brodeur was. He was caught way to the other side, but he makes an amazing save.
just got his hand or arm on it, it would appear. Hawks still on the power play. Doug Wilson for Chicago. Over to Savard. Number 18, Dennis Savard. Into the side of the net. Secord deflected it wide. Now Secord fell down behind the net. Puck comes loose. Secord to Savard. Savard centered. And it's broken up by Jerry Miner. And now cleared out. Now Crossman held it in. Puck finally does come outside the line and is called on an offside at the Vancouver blue line. Well, the Blackhawks are seeing firsthand why there has been so much talk of the goaltender Richard Brodeur in the playoffs.
Well, they certainly are. On that, I still can't believe that save that he made on Lysek. He just came from out of the blue and all of a sudden was able to come up with that big save. But, you know, Chicago really moved the puck around well in that first part of that power play, Dan.
50 seconds left in the penalty as the Canucks, Lars Lindgren cleared it down the ice. Here's Doug Wilson. Wilson giving it to Mulvey. He dropped it back to Bob Murray. Murray to Wilson. Back to Murray. Murray at center ice. Got it to Rich Preston. Knocked off his stick, and Wilson has to circle back. To Murray. Now to Ruskowski, but broken up and cleared away by Lars Lindgren for Vancouver. The Canucks change on the fly. Wilson back for Chicago. To Ruskowski. Ruskowski dropping one back to Rich Preston. Preston shoots. He shot it wide. Here is Murray at the point behind the net to Ruskowski. He got it in front. It comes to Murray. Murray shoots. Mulvey a shot. Brodeur flat on the ice. Stopped that. And held on to it between his legs. Just as the penalized player comes back on for Vancouver, Eldebrink. And another big save by Richard Brodeur.
That line with Mulvey certainly has had an excellent amount of opportunities thus far tonight. Let's watch the Preston, Ruskowski, and Mulvey line really applying good pressure here. And watch the opportunity that Mulvey's going to have here in front of the net. He really had possession of the puck, but just got caught off balance and wasn't able to really get a good hard shot on Brodeur. But Brodeur, nevertheless, alert. Sometimes those are just as hard to make as a hard shot. Ever see Roger Nielsen? He looks pretty cool, calm, and relaxed out there tonight.
Here is Harold Schnepp for Vancouver to Smeal. He tipped it into the Chicago zone. Tim Higgins is back to pick it up, and as he touches it, icing is called against Vancouver, and a faceoff comes back into the Vancouver zone. As we look at Tim Higgins, the former #1 draft choice of the Blackhawks.
Well, you know, Dan, when he played in junior hockey for the Ottawa 67, what a line they had. Bobby Smith was at center, Higgins on the right wing, and over on the left wing was Steve Payne, and I'll tell you, they were just awesome in junior hockey.
All, of course, now in the NHL, Smith and Payne with Minnesota, Higgins with Chicago. There is Mr. Brodeur. How about a deal they made to get him? They exchanged 5th-round draft choices with the Islanders and picked up Brodeur. And he's become the #1 goaltender and one of the top stars in these 82 Stanley Cup playoffs. Here's Ted Bully on right wing to Higgins. Higgins into Ted Bully. Bully moving in. Got it in front, but back-checking was Bolderev. And the Canucks from Vancouver are led by Bolderev. Missed a check from Lysiak. Shoots one wide of the net. Into the corner after it is Rhoda. Rhoda centering one. Higgins is there to break it up and clear it down the ice. Going back after it for Vancouver is Neil Bellin. And as he plays the puck, icing is called against Chicago. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff action here from Chicago Stadium.
Prepare for adventure. Prepare for barnstorming by Activision, the thrilling new video game you play on your Atari video computer system. Zoom through barns. Soar over windmills. It's Beat of the Pants flying in all its glory.
Sure, it's a tough game, but somebody's got to play it.
Don't miss Barnstorming by Activision. Playing at a store near you.
With Gary Green and Al Strudwick, Dan Kelly at Chicago Stadium. 3 minutes, 54 seconds left in period 1. A 1-1 game. Thomas Gradine has scored for Vancouver. Terry Ruskowski for Chicago. Puck in behind the Chicago goal, and the Blackhawks' Doug Wilson moves out of there to Secord, to Savard. Dennis Savard. Cuts back of the net out in front. Savard turns, shoots. Brodeur kicked out his right leg to stop that. And the puck comes to center ice. Knocked away by Wilson. Now Lindgren passing it to Tiger Williams. He flips it in for Vancouver. This is Dave Hutchison. He shot it off the boards to the Vancouver line. Eldebrink back to get it. Eldebrink on left wing, shooting it into the Chicago zone. Esposito cleared it on the boards to Al Secord. He shot one to center, broken up by Doug Hallward. Now to Colin Campbell. Flipped to center, but Wilson intercepts. Here's Wilson shooting it around behind the Vancouver goal, and Delorme takes over for Vancouver. Got it to center ice to Williams, broken up, and Savard dumps it back in for the Blackhawks. Less than 3 minutes to play in the first period. 1-1 the score. A lead pass to Delorme from Hallward is too far, and as Fox goes back to play at an icing call against the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, Dan, we're getting an opportunity here to see Greg Fox, and Greg Fox scored a very amazing overtime goal. He only scored 2 goals all year long, and then in the first game of the preliminary rounds in Minnesota, all-tied hockey game into overtime, Greg Fox, the most unlikely guy on the Chicago team to score an overtime goal.
They were booing Greg Fox for much of this season here at Chicago Stadium. I think that overtime goal quietened down the Bluebirds. It also was a big breaking point for Chicago. Here's Ruskowski on a face-off in the Vancouver zone. Ruskowski got it, but Hallward has it for Vancouver, and back he comes. Ducks under a check, got it to Delorme. He and Feimster bump at the blue line. Now Delorme and Mulvey jam up. Here is Mulvey to Rich Preston, number 16. He shoots it in. Cleared out of there by Brosser, and now quite a collision between Fraser and Feimster. Here's Fox losing the puck to Delorme, a shot. Esposito made the save on the short side. Here's Dave Feimster to Ruskowski. At center ice to Mulvey. Grant Mulvey's long shot wide of the Vancouver goal. The Canucks clear it quickly back to center. Taken over by Hutchison. Now to Mulvey as the hitting gets rather hard here in this first period. Here's Hallward for Vancouver. Hallward moves in, shoots. He shot it just wide. Now Bully for the Blackhawks. Into the corner to Hutchison. Out on the right wing side to Higgins, back to Hutchison, to Bully. Ted Bully, number 29. Taken out of the play by Harold Snepps. Now Higgins for Chicago. Tim Higgins tied up by Brosser. Here's Bully in the corner. Ted Bully and Snepps battle for it. Puck comes to Hallward for Vancouver. Clearing it out on right wing to Smeal. Now into Per-Olof Brosser, back to Smeal, a drive. Esposito, a stick save. Higgins now falls. Fell on top of the puck and will have a face-off in the Chicago zone with exactly 1 minute left in period 1.
Well, there's the guy we were talking about just a little early, Tim Higgins. You know, sometimes players are motivated in different ways. Bob Pulford decided in the preliminary rounds in the initial game that he was going to sit Tim Higgins out just because he didn't feel that he played that well. And we saw the big save that Tony Esposito made on Stan Smeal's drive. Espo really gets those pads out. He's a butterfly-style goaltender, and when he goes down, a fair amount. So I think Vancouver, if they're going to score on him consistently, they've got to look to go upstairs.
Meanwhile, Chicago is at a wide edge in the play here in the first period, but Brodeur has been sensational. Here's a shot from the point by Lindgren that deflected just wide. Sharply feeds Savard. He breaks through. Backhander, Brodeur. Another save. I believe his third big save of this period off Savard. And now some hijinks in behind the Vancouver goal. Secord and Tiger Williams. If you were a promoter, you could have promoted that match before this series ever began and predicted that they would meet.
Well, Don King probably would love to get a hold of those two guys because they're certainly two aggressive hockey players. They're both leaders on their hockey clubs in respective ways. Al Secord, amazingly this year, led his hockey club in not only as far as the penalty minutes go, as far as being the policeman, but also in goals. He had just an amazing year. Tiger Williams, on the other hand, after having a good offensive year last year, suffered very much this past year offensively, and as Roger Nielsen is elected to play a more in defensive role. Let's watch now. Savard, watch how he goes to his backhand. And boy, are those tough for goaltenders to stop. Savard getting off a good backhand, but Brodeur going down and blocking it.
Well, we saw the earlier breakaway that Savard had, and he had another chance in between, and now this third try, and Brodeur has had all the answers on Dennis Savard.
We see when the six got high here.
They give them 2-minute minor penalties for roughing at 19-13 here of the first period. 1-1 the score. Chicago, Gary, would you agree when I say they've had a wide edge in the play?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that right now, Dan. But on the other hand, you know, we saw a game the other night between Boston and Quebec where they had an outstanding 12-2 shots on net difference, but it didn't really mean much in the final results.
Brodeur has been sensational. It is Vancouver 1 and Chicago 1 here in the first period. Lysiak, Ruskowski has scored for Chicago, Gradin for Vancouver. Here's Gradin winning the faceoff for the final minute of play of the second period. Gradin in across the line to Moline. He rolled it in front, but Esposito cleared it away. Now Ted Bully back of the net to Bob Murray. Murray, who missed most of this season with an injury, back playing regularly in the playoffs, gives it to Fox. He got it to center to Bully. Knocked down by Snep. Here is Greg Fox. Back to Murray. 17 seconds left in the period. The Hawks operating cautiously, clear at the center. Wires Lindgren knocking it down. Lindgren, the Swedish defenseman for Vancouver, jumping it in. Fox trying to clear it out, and did to center ice. Harold Snep's number 27 back after it, and that is the end of period 1 here at Chicago Stadium. As the team skate off, it was Thomas Gradin scoring for Vancouver. Terry Ruskowski tying this game for Chicago, and that's where we sit at the end of 20 minutes of play. The score after one period of play in Game 1 of the Campbell Conference Final, the Chicago Blackhawks won, the Vancouver Canucks won. We'll return with our between period activities right after this.
I'm very handy thanks to 3-in-1 oil. It fights rust, lubricates, stops squeaks. 3-in-1 oil is so easy, even you guys can use it. I do home repairs with plastic wood. I fixed my table, molded my hut, filled holes in my paneling. Plastic wood is so easy, even you guys can use it.
He's the working man, forging dreams with fire, building, moving mountains, always reaching higher. He's the wheels that move a nation, the stitching in the seams. He holds it all together. He wears Levi's jeans, 'cause he knows we still build the Levi's jeans that helped build America.
Blazers worn by our announcers are provided by Levi's Sportswear, makers of the Levi's Action Blazer, perhaps the most comfortable blazer a person can wear.
Dredging for oysters isn't easy, but I like it out here. There's no time clocks and traffic jams, and the air is fresher and the water's cleaner. And you know, I even think the beer tastes better. Hey, looks like it's Miller time. Yeah!
Miller time. Time for America's quality beer.
Well, another day at the office, huh?
Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, 3 Millers. Miller's got the beer. Miller beer.
We're back at Chicago Stadium, and after one period of very exciting hockey, the score is 1-1 between the Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks. And if it were not for the superb goaltending of Richard Brodeur, the score probably would be much higher in favor of Chicago. My first guest in the intermission here has had a very successful year so far. Troy Murray of the Chicago Blackhawks has already won the NCAA championship and the World Junior Hockey Championships gold medal for Canada. Troy, I guess your dream of winning the three in a year, the Stanley Cup, the gold medal there, the NCAA championship, with the way the Hawks are playing, is a very real possibility.
Yeah, everything's just fallen together this year for me. The World Championships, we won that, and then we won the NCAA with the University of North Dakota. And this year, we weren't expected probably to go past the first round against Minnesota. And, the Blackhawks are playing well as a team. They've come on strong at the end of the year, and, they're playing good hockey. And, if we can get by Vancouver, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Now, the Fighting Sioux of North Dakota have won the NCAA Division I championship 2 out of the last 3 years. What's been their secret to success?
Well, I think you have to give a lot of credit to the coach, Gino Gasparini. He's a super coach, and he knows the game of hockey very well, and I think more than anything, he knows people. He's really good at the people on the team. If you have problems, there's no problems to go and ask him. You can talk to him. The whole organization in North Dakota is very supportive towards hockey.
I heard a pretty humorous story about the day you signed your contract. It was April Fool's Day, a 3-year contract with Chicago. Did anything funny happen that day?
No, I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew it was all serious, but in the back of my mind, April Fool's Day, I didn't know what was going to happen. But the next day, it all was the same, and so I'm here.
So you thought you were going to sign it, and then they tear it up on you, or what?
Well, I didn't know what to do, but it's just kind of funny that it happened on April Fool's Day.
And what about the Chicago Blackhawks team? You've already probably excited the heck out of yourself by scoring a big goal against St. Louis in the playoff round previous to this one. How do you feel playing on this team? There must be a great amount of spirit.
Yeah, it is. I came up here and at the end of the year, and it was kind of a bad time for myself to come up. Chicago had a bad year, and I didn't know how they'd react towards me. But I came up here, and the players really were good to me. And I came over here, and I didn't dress the first game, and then the next 3 games I played, and I felt that when I go out there, I try my hardest, and when Bob Pulford puts me out there, I do the best I can. If I don't dress, nobody likes not to play, but I respect the decision because he's going up the winning team right now. We're winning, and I'm happy to be here, and I got my first goal, so the big load's kind of off me now. There's not too much pressure on me.
A lot of guys have waited a long, long time for that goal. You didn't have to wait very long.
No,
that first goal, I mean.
Yeah, I think it was my 4th or 5th game, and it came at a good time. We were down St. Louis 4-3, and there wasn't much time left in the second period, and we got that goal, and we came back in the 3rd period to win that game, and I'm not going to say that it turned the game around or anything, but
you can say it if you want.
Well, I don't know if it is, but we came out in the 3rd period tied, instead of being down, and we were up 3-1 instead of tied 2 going into St. Louis, and it was a big boost.
Now, when you joined the team, it was April 1st. The Blackhawks still were not playing the type of playoff hockey that they're playing now. Were you there to see the change, to put in your mind what it might have been? What happened? What was the turnaround to make this team a Stanley Cup semifinalist?
Well, I came in on a Wednesday night, and they played the New York Rangers, and I believe they lost 3-1. And that night, I wasn't impressed with the Blackhawks at all. And they went into St. Louis, and they still had a chance for 3rd place. And they went into St. Louis, and they beat St. Louis, and they came back on Sunday, and they played Minnesota, and we beat Minnesota. I can't say really, I can't see the change too much, because I came with the team Thursday, and we won our first 4 games when I was on the team. And, it's been really good since then. The team's pulled together. Bob Pulford, I think, has done a great job. Mm-hmm. And, sure enough, they had a bad year, but I think, the playoffs are a different story. Minnesota had a good year. They're out. Edmonton had a good year, and they're out. Playoffs are a whole story, different story, and, the Chicago Blackhawks are playing good hockey right now.
Now, it's my first playoff game here at Chicago Stadium, and when I walked up the stairway out of the locker room to the end of the ice, and I heard the crowd, and I heard the thunderous organ, I was just overwhelmed. It almost gives you chills. What were your feelings when you played in your very first playoff game here? Because the atmosphere is unparalleled.
Well, we came here, and we beat Minnesota twice in Minnesota, and we came here, and there was 20,000 people, and I was dressed for that 3rd game still, and I came out there, and I couldn't believe it. The national anthem, they started cheering. I had chills down my spine. I was sitting on the bench, but I didn't know what to do. It's just a great feeling when there's 20,000 people, and I tell you, they're supporting you out there.
Troy Murray, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Al.
Troy Murray of the Chicago Blackhawks, certainly with a bright future, and for being our in-between period guest, Troy will receive a year's supply of Men in Hawk aftershave and cologne. Now for the man who reaches higher, a Hawk clean, brisk outdoor scent, as free-spirited as the man who wears it. Hawk cologne and aftershave by Menon. Stay with us on USA. Coming up, a report on the NFL draft, and We'll also take you to the Nassau Coliseum for an update on the Islanders-Quebec Nordiques game. That's game 1 tonight in Uniondale. We'll return coast to coast on USA after this.
Jim Lebrecht is a sound designer at the Berkeley Repertory Theater in California. He was born with a disability which has nothing to do with those requirements which got him his job. But having the job makes him able to lead an independent, productive life.
Tom, that's nice. Well, it's about in 2 minutes, and they were...
We are presently wasting one of our most precious, untapped resources, those Americans who are disabled and without jobs. A disabled person is just that, a person with a disability, but also with abilities, strengths, and skills. This is the International Year of Disabled Persons. If you are an employer, hire a person like Jim and help tap a valuable human resource.
Serving Central Illinois, we're GE Cable Channel 6 in Peoria.
We're back at Chicago Stadium on USA, Game 1 of the Campbell Conference Finals. 1 period gone by. The Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks have played to a 1-1 score. And what a game Richard Brodeur has been playing so far. Game 1 tonight in the Wales Conference Finals is at the Nassau Coliseum. The Quebec Nordiques and the New York Islanders. And Quebec coming off series wins over Montreal and Boston. They're skating quick and they're getting great goaltending from John Garrett and Dan Bouchard. But how are they faring tonight against the defending Stanley Cup champions? Corey Eisner is standing by at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale for this report.
With under 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second period, it's the Islanders out in front of the Nordiques, 1-0 here in the second period at the Nassau Coliseum. The Islanders opened up the scoring of this game in the first period. Brian Trottier taking up his 5th goal of the playoffs as he lifted the puck over Dan Bouchard in the first, as the Islanders capitalized on the power play for this lead. The opening period contained a little bit of everything as the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions outshot the Nordiques 13-8. We saw some good passing, good hitting, good skating, and yes, some good defense, something that was lacking in previous meetings between these two teams. The Islanders, who came into this series rested a bit more, have looked a little sharper in the opening stanza and continue to do so here in the second period. As they scored that first goal of the first period, that's a meaningful statistic to the Islanders. Just about every game they've scored first, they've won. With just under 11 minutes to go, it's the Islanders 1, Nordiques nothing here in the second period. This is Corey Eisner from the Nassau Coliseum.
Thank you very much, Corey Eisner. And indeed, while that is going on in Uniondale, a very important happening was going on in Midtown Manhattan at the Sheraton, New York. The NFL teams assembled to choose their pickings for next year's season. But we have a report on that also. Let's go now and find out about those rounds for the NFL teams determining their future.
The New York Sheraton was the scene of the 47th Annual National Football League Draft, the football lottery that decides the fate of 334 hopeful college seniors. By 10 a.m., the ballroom was packed. There was the usual flood of fans, or draftniks as they've been dubbed, and anxious player personnel directors putting the final touches on countless hours of analyzing college talent. The first pick belonged to the New England Patriots, and as Pete Rozelle stepped up to the podium, there was little doubt who the first selection would be.
New England selects first round, Ken Sims, defensive end, Texas.
Ken Sims, a 6'5", 269-pound tackle from the University of Texas. A unanimous All-American selection, winner of the Lombardi Trophy, emblematic of college football's top lineup. The Patriots project him as a defensive end, and Sims doesn't foresee any problems.
Those guys who possibly wasn't in the position that I'm in as far as being blessed with size, speed, quickness, and strength, been 6'5", been able to run the 4.8 40, even being the defensive end, which is something I've always wanted to do in the desires there. And really, I just want to get at it now and try it out, because I've always wanted to play defensive end, and I think I can play it, so I'm eager to get after it.
As always, the first round was not without surprises, as the Baltimore Colts traded quarterback Burt Jones to Los Angeles for a first and second round draft choice. The rest of the first round went smoothly, and here's a look at where college football's elite will be playing next season. And so the NFL draft continues. And no doubt 334 players later, all 28 teams will announce they got just what they went after in their quest for football's ultimate, the Super Bowl. Al Goldstein for USA Network. Now back to Al Troutwig at Chicago Stadium.
Perpetrators?
I don't remember, but the car was a Toyota Celica GT liftback.
The perpetrators?
Well, the Celica had retractable headlights.
The perpetrators?
Lovely car in there.
The unforgettable Toyota Celica. It's the right stuff.
A little too right.
Celica.
Direct has national sports zone. Call for the latest reports. Oh, we're talking national sports and we got it all. 900. What a wonderful call. 900-976-1313. 900.
50 cents a call. You can know all the scores.
Dial it. We're talking to you.
Know where NHL game announcers get all our statistical information on the players and teams? It's here in the NHL Guide. Over 800 pages of hockey statistics, records, and information. To get your 1981-82 copy of the NHL Guide, just send your name and address and $8.50, check or money order, to NHL Guide, Post Office Box 999A, Ridgefield, New Jersey, 07657. Act now and become a hockey expert. Greetings again from Chicago Stadium with Gary Green and Al Troutwig, Dan Kelly on the USA Cable Network. 1-1 the score after the opening 20 minutes of play. The scoring saw Thomas Gradine score from Fraser at 8:02 of the first period to give Vancouver the lead. But Terry Ruskowski came back and scored from Preston and Wilson at 10:11, and it was tied 1-1. Chicago in the first period outshot the Vancouver Canucks 17-8. I don't think there's any question, Gary Green, that Richard Brodeur was the story of the first period in this game.
Well, you know, the way that Brodeur has been playing, Dan, that's probably just as well for him because he has been the reason this Vancouver Canucks team are really here right now. And the more work he gets, it seems the better he is. And so, actually, Chicago gave him an excellent opportunity to really get into his work habits in this game, and he made some excellent saves.
Were you surprised at the domination that Chicago had in the first period as far as scoring chances were concerned?
Well, I guess there are a lot of factors. They did have some good chances. Ruskowski, you know, he really likes going to that backhand of his. They foiled him on his second opportunity. He scored on that first backhand time, but the second time he got stopped cold by Brodeur. But, you know, you got over 20,000 people in this building. That's got to give a hockey club a big lift, especially in the initial part. Let's see whether it carries over in the second period.
The Vancouver Canucks make their appearance to start period number 2. As yet, no sign of the Chicago Blackhawks. When you look at the statistics of the first period, Rich Preston and Dennis Savard each had 3 shots on goal to lead the Chicago shooters. 2 Vancouver players, Doug Hallward and Thomas Gradine, had 2 shots on goal to lead the Vancouver scorers. I think that in the first period, Brodeur robbed Dennis Savard of a hat trick.
Well, I couldn't really disagree with you that. Dan. We talked about the many moves of Dennis Savard. He came around behind the net at one point in time and put an excellent move. I thought he was going to come around and tuck it, but again, as you say, he had numerous opportunities.
Let's have a look at the two goals. First, the one by Thomas Gradine, which came at 8:02 of the first period, assisted by Kurt Fraser.
Well, Dan, let's watch. We see now Vancouver with possession of the puck. Now watch the move, really with his feet that he put on Hutchison, and really not from a very good scoring angle, but he wound up with a shot that caught Tony Esposito.
The main move, and you could blame Hutchison, but if you watch the way Gradine played it with his skate, it was a heck of a move. Now, the Chicago goal by Ruskowski.
Well, watch Ruskowski here. The number of people that are in front of this net, but Ruskowski found possession of the puck, and with his backhand, really didn't take a look, just knew that he wanted to put down net, and found Richard Brodeur really off to the opposite side, found the empty corner.
Good play by Preston to set it up. Doug Wilson also had an assist. The time of the goal was 10:11. Still no sign of the Blackhawks as Vancouver is already on the ice. And now as we hear the crowd start to roar, you can figure that Tony Esposito and the Blackhawks are making their appearance. They are. Listen to this crowd. That has to make you want to skate a little bit faster and dig a little harder.
Dan, when you're playing in this building, you even love to hear that organ play because there's no other organ like it in the National Hockey League.
Now you see Tony Esposito. He turned 39 years of age last Friday night, celebrated his 39th birthday with a shutout, his 6th Stanley Cup career shutout, as Chicago defeated the St. Louis Blues 2-0 and won the series 4-2. Roger Nielsen, who took over when the Vancouver coach Harry Neal was suspended. They were doing so well. Harry Neal, who will become the Vancouver general manager, according to the Vancouver plan next year, just left Nielsen behind the bench. Neal's philosophy is, if things are going that well without me, I'm going to stay away.
Well, he said exactly that. He didn't want to come back and mess it up, and I think that was an excellent move by Harry Neal. You know, he's a great hockey coach. He's been in the National Hockey League for a long time, and his move to general manager, I'm sure the Vancouver Canucks are going to be an excellent organization for years to come.
So we are just about ready for the start of play in the second period, and here you see part of the sellout crowd at Chicago Stadium. And now we look at the GM and the coach of the Blackhawks, Bob Pulford. He's an excellent man behind the bench too, Gary.
Well, there's no question about that. I'll tell you, there's two excellent coaches behind these benches for tonight's hockey game.
Here we go at the second period. 1-1 the score. Harold Snep's dropping it back into his own zone as Vancouver, in the black, very colorful uniforms they wear, clear at the center. Knocking it down is Fox, and it is Murray. Each team is a man short as we start this period. Williams and Secord in the penalty box. Loose puck in the center ice area. Now here is Snaps. Number 27 for Vancouver. Cleared it. Lysiak broke that up. Here's Tom Lysiak. Fired it over on left wing, but Smeal shot it back out for Vancouver. Bob Murray cleared it. Smeal picks it up again. Here stands Smeal. Shoots one. Esposito. A stick save. And the puck comes all the way down into the Vancouver zone with number 15, Neil Bellin, getting it. He cleared it. It hit the linesman. Now back in to get it is Lysiak, and then the play is called on a delayed offside at the Vancouver blue line. There's Glenn Sharpley, acquired in a trade last season from the Minnesota North Stars.
Well, you know, he was one happy man in that preliminary round when he put his former team, the Minnesota North Stars, out of playoff contention. He played very well against them, and playing with Dennis Savard right now must be a real treat to him. To see a young guy like Savard playing so well, it's always great to be a winger.
He's happy to be playing, period. He almost ended his career when he suffered a knee injury earlier this year. They thought for a time he mightn't be able to play. Here's Colin Campbell for Vancouver. Cleared it to the Hawk line. Hutchison giving it to Wilson. Now back to Hutchison. Number 5, Dave Hutchison. Trying to clear it in. It's picked up by Ted Bully. Now Bully on left wing. Got it into the corner. Colin Campbell back to get it. Here is Campbell. Passing it over on right wing for Lindgren. He shot at the center. Wilson knocked that down. Here is Savard. number 18. He leaves it for Wilson. Back to Savard. Savard speeds into the Canucks zone. Can't get through the defense. Still has it. Now is tied up in front of the net by Colin Campbell. Secord trying to center it as the penalized players, Secord and Williams, come back on. Puck is cleared by Vancouver all the way down the ice. Hutchison back to play it. Icing against Vancouver. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
We know most of you folks in Peoria have worked all year. Yes. That your paychecks have been assaulted by every kind of tax they could think of. Yes. But wait, some of you pay too much. Yes. It's tax refund time. Yes. When your check comes, we say make the best investment of your life in a waterbed on which you will spend 1/3 of your life. Yes. If you haven't received your check yet, the bedroom place guarantees you the lowest price through our layaway plan for 90 days, interest-free. Yes. 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 Yes.
Vancouver Canucks won. The Chicago Blackhawks won. Face-off in the Vancouver zone. Thomas Gradin flipped it to center ice. Now cleared, but Gradin has it again in across the line, and Jim Nill, number 8 for Vancouver, was in ahead of the play and offside at the Chicago blue line. Tiger Williams, former Toronto Maple Leaf, had a tough season scoring-wise this year.
Dan, he did an excellent
tough guy, period.
He did an excellent job in the past Los Angeles series on Dave Taylor. Really did a very sound defensive job on Taylor.
Williams this year slumped to only 17 goals in the regular season after a big season a year ago. Here's Nill for Vancouver in across the line, but Williams was in ahead of the play. And now Nill and Secord push at each other. Over comes Hutchison. Williams comes in there. Now Hutchison throws a punch at Nill over top of the linesman. And they have to be restrained by the linesman.
It'll be interesting, Dan, to see whether referee Brian Lewis assesses an extra penalty to Hutchison, or whether he's the only one, because he definitely took that first swing at Vancouver. Jim Nill.
With the score, Vancouver 1, Chicago 1. We'll return to Chicago in just a moment.
Reaching your financial goal is never as simple as some people would have you believe. You have to know exactly where you're going and make the right decisions at the right time. At Merrill Lynch, it's our skill at guiding you through the intricacies of investing that makes us what we are. Merrill Lynch, a breed apart.
Just one penalty called on that play. It was to Dave Hutchison of Chicago for roughing. Time of the penalty, 2:03. Hutchison reached over top of the linesman and tried to take a punch at Jim Nill, and he gets the roughing penalty, so Vancouver will have a power play chance. Face-off coming up at the Chicago blue line. Moline, one of the Vancouver White men, flips it in, but it's called on an offside, and now Feimster takes the Vancouver player heavily into the boards.
Well, Dan, you know, just on that last call, that was an excellent call by referee Brian Lewis. You know, so often you see those situations whereby the referee perhaps will even things up because there was a skirmish, but he saw that definitely there was no question that that initial punch was taken by Dave Hutchison, and Nill really didn't throw any punches, so he gave him the 2-minute minor, and that's what you call a gutsy call by a referee, but certainly a very accurate one.
Golderev and Darcy Rhoda, a pair of former Blackhawks, up on the forward line along with Jim Nill, a former St. Louis Blues player. That's the Vancouver power play. Here is Rhoda, number 18, into the corner to number 8, Nill. Nill, back of the Chicago goal. Nill dropping it to Moline, a shot. That's blocked in front of the net. Vancouver still with possession. Here's Moline at the point. To Rhoda. Rhoda centers. Golderev, a shot. Esposito, thrilling save to stop Golderev. And now some pushing and shoving again at the side of the Chicago goal.
Well, Dan, Esposito's certainly a big sprawling goaltender. And when he goes down there in that butterfly, and when he stacks those pads up, he covers a lot of room. You can't put it down low. You got to go up high. And that's exactly what Vancouver did not do. If they had, they would have been ahead of this hockey game right now. Here we'll see the exact situation. Look at Fox trying to clean the Vancouver player out in front of that net. But watch how Tony goes down and stacks those pads, brings him right up against the post, and he's got that puck.
Tony Esposito, 39-year-old veteran of the Chicago Blackhawks. A minute 31 left in the Chicago penalty. In the second period, the New York Islanders now have gone ahead of Quebec 2-0. That's the first game of the Prince of Wales Championship Series. The winner of that series will meet the winner of this series, Chicago and Vancouver, in the Stanley Cup Final. Here is Fox for the faceoff, trying to clear it. Held in by Vancouver, a centering pass to Smeal. That's wide. Now Fox trying to clear it away. Here's Neil Bellin, flipping it into the boards. Rick Patterson knocked it down. And now Gardner clears one to center ice. Broken up, and the Canucks Smeal, number 12 at center, gives it to Gradin. Here's the fancy puck-handling Thomas Gradin. Back to Bellin. Bellin shooting. Esposito. A pad save. Gradin to Bellin. Back to Gradin. Gradin dropping it back. Bellin had to dive for it. It comes all the way back into the Vancouver zone. Number 26, Lars Molin, another of the Swedish imports in the Vancouver club. To Fraser, that puck hops over his stick, goes all the way down the ice. And that will be an icing call against Vancouver. Face-off back in the Canuck zone with 38 seconds now remaining in the penalty to Hutchison.
Certainly on situations where you got the power play, the last thing you want to do is take an icing call, and that was just a result really of a power play unit being a little bit too tired. The pass was not able to be connected, and as a result, an icing call. Here we'll see that replay here. Tony Esposito getting some work. Again, watch how he goes down. Every single time that shot comes, goes down to his knees or else in that butterfly style.
2-0, the Islanders leading Quebec. Butch Goring and Brian Trottier have scored for New York. Here it is 1-1 as the Canucks operate on the power play. Doug Hallward, number 2. Hallward. Into the Hawk zone, shoots one. Esposito didn't look sure of himself again, but made a glove save. And then the Hawks clear it down the ice. Anders Eldebrink, number 10, has it. At center is Vancouver again attacked, led by Jim Nill. Nill dropping it. It comes to Hallward. Over to the other point. Eldebrink, a shot. Deflected by Bolderev wide. Now Bolderev center. Hallward shoots. Esposito to his knees to make the save. Hutchison is back on. Chicago has killed off the penalty. But another good sprawling save by Esposito. And here they chant at Chicago Stadium, Tony, Tony.
Well, they've got good reason to cheer Tony because he has really played well this second period. Brodeur, he had most of the action in that first period, and boy, did he stand on his head to make a few brilliant saves. We said it before, I think this series is going to boil down to Esposito or Bannerman when they put him in versus Brodeur. Those are going to be the key reasons for whatever team wins this series.
Bolderev against Lysiak. Team's back at full strength. The faceoff is in the Chicago zone. 1-1 the score. Gradin for Vancouver. Ruskowski for Chicago up in the goal scorers. Puck cleared on the boards. Bellin holding it in. Now it's centered to Bolderev. Lysiak checked him. And here is Ted Bully. Bully number 29. Into the Vancouver zone. Bellin broke it up, cleared it to center. Wilson has it there. Wilson trying to wait for his team to get onside. Drops it to Bob Murray. To Lysiak. Tom Lysiak shooting it in. Neil Bellin back to get it. Cleared it. Doug Wilson at the point. A drive, and he fired it wide with a low slap shot. Puck still in the Vancouver zone. Snaps. Trying to clear it out of there. Murray pinches in on the boards, and now it's held there, and we'll have a face-off. This game is starting to get more and more physical as we go along, Gary Green.
Well, we see Big Harold Snepst in the screen there. He certainly has logged a lot of ice time during the playoffs. Vancouver being short on defense through not only the end of the season, but into the playoffs, losing their key defenseman in in McCarthy, but Harold Schnepp certainly has been playing extremely well for this Vancouver team.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Hockey League and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited. There we see the Vancouver bench. 15 minutes, 10 seconds left in the second period. 1-1 the score. This big crowd chants, "Let's go Hawks." On the face-off, here Olaf Brosser won the draw. Colin Campbell dropping it back, and then it's shot to center by the Canucks. Lovey shot it back in. Here's Lars Lindgren for Vancouver, shooting it to the Chicago line. Cleared by Fox and then carried back in offside at the Chicago blue line. For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Cable Network.
The most extensive coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs on television continues as USA Cable Network travels to Uniondale, Long Island for Game 2 of the Prince of Wales Conference Final between the Stanley Cup champion Islanders and the Adams Division champion Quebec Nordiques. Game time is set for 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, as the USA Cable Network brings you the Stanley Cup championships right on through the final series.
From the face-off at the Chicago blue line, it is Dave Feimster giving it to Grant Mulvey. Chicago in the white uniforms fire it into the Vancouver zone. The goaltender Brodeur cleared it. Mark Crawford couldn't get it out. Here's Grant Mulvey. Mulvey centered. It went right in front of the net. Comes to Feimster at the point. Into Rich Preston. Shoots! Got it just wide. Here's Fox. Into the corner to Mulvey. Mulvey being pinned in against the boards by Brosser. Now Campbell ties Ruskowski up. Here's Fox for Chicago. Shooting it back of the net. Here's Brosser for Vancouver. Starting out of there to Lindgren. Lindgren dumps it in. Going back is Fox. He cleared it. Intercepting it is Brosser. Brosser centered. Oh, and Mark Crawford at the side of the net just missed. Here's Crawford flipping it behind the goal. Dave Feimster gets it for Chicago. To Fox. Cleared it near the Vancouver line. Lindgren taking over for the Canucks. Wires Lindgren. Shooting it to center. DeLorme dumping it in for Vancouver. This is Al Secord. Back of his own goal, hammered against the boards, but keeps on going. Here is Secord on right wing to center. Into the Vancouver zone. Secord to the corner. Bumped by Snap, centered it. Gradine cleared it away. Now Doug Wilson. In behind the net to Secord. Gradine takes him out of the play. And here is Snaps to Crawford. Got it to the line. Savard held it in. Snaps blocked his shot. Here's Moline. Long shot from outside the blue line. Bounced right out in front. Wilson cleared it quickly to Sharpley. To Savard at center. Off his skate. And the Canucks drop it back to Neil Bellin. Now to Gradine. Here's Thomas Gradine. Check from behind, and Sharpley gives it to Savard. One man back. Savard shoots, and Brodeur makes the save on Dennis Savard. And he held on to it. Mr. Savard and Mr. Brodeur are going to get to know each other very well in this series.
Well, I think that's definitely factual. This young guy, as we said, he led this hockey club this year, and as a second-year player, that's very difficult to do oftentimes, but he possessed a lot of poise. Watch this slap shot that he gets off. Brodeur, actually, considering he wasn't screened on it, had a little problem with it. He bounced up off of his chest, and he caught it with his glove. But it just shows you that Savard must have had an awful lot of steam behind that puck when he shot it.
Here's a face-off. Feimster, a shot that Brodeur makes the save on. Now the Canucks trying to get it out of there. It comes into the Chicago zone. Fox back to play the puck, and as he does, we get an icing call again against Vancouver, and a face-off back in the Vancouver zone.
We're seeing some of this 22,000. You know, they announced that there's probably about 18,000 people in this building, but they'll probably put 22 or 23. Ivan Boldarev, a player, not unfamiliar by any means to this Chicago Blackhawks Stadium crowd. He's kind of a guy that can come up and do some amazing things for you, but I think consistency is what Vancouver are looking for from Boldurev.
There's a play right from the faceoff, and Brodeur had to be alert again.
That one really took a funny bounce, and Brodeur had no idea where that puck was coming, but all of a sudden he turned around, and there it was laying right in his crease. And we'll see it right off the faceoff. Watch where that puck goes now. It comes off the backboards and comes right in front of that crease.
Here's Elderbrink from the faceoff, clearing one into the center ice area. Knocked down by Greg Fox over to Dame Feemster. He cleared it. Now here's Lysiak for Chicago. Tom Lysiak dropping it to Fox. Cleared it in behind the net. Out of the goal is Brodeur to clear it. Feemster holding it in. Into Tim Higgins. Higgins couldn't get his shot away. Still has the puck. Then loses it to Boldurev, who cleared it to center ice. And now it's called on an offside as the Blackhawks shoot it into the Vancouver zone, actually an intentional offside. So the faceoff comes back into the Hawk zone. We're live at Chicago Stadium. We'll return in just a moment.
You've got a Pepsi generation, way of tasting life. I can see it in your style, your look, your laugh, your smile. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're the Pepsi generation, sharing one great taste for life. Pepsi's got your taste for life.
We are back live at Chicago Stadium. 1-1 the score. 12 minutes left in the second period, and now right from the faceoff, Mulvey of the Blackhawks, number 22, fell to the ice and wound up right on top of the puck. We'll have another faceoff in the Chicago zone. Grant Mulvey, big winger with the Blackhawks. Here's Brosser for Vancouver, got the faceoff, but Hutchison comes up with the puck for Chicago. He clears it to Rich Preston, who dumps it in. Brodeur out of the net to clear it away. Here is Preston, dropping it to Doug Wilson. Wilson with a shot, that's blocked. Now, the Canucks in their own zone. Here is Rhoda, shooting at the center ice. Hutchison knocks it down to Doug Wilson. Wilson to Raskolski to Mulvey. Mulvey couldn't get around Colin Campbell. He feeds it to Brosser. Here's Ole Brosser, number 16. Flipping it in front, wide of the Chicago goal, and Hutchison has it. To Mulvey. Now to Preston. Rich Preston around Howard. Got it in front, tipped away by Brodeur. Back to Hutchison. Shoots! That's deflected just wide. And Jim Nill for Vancouver clears it into the Chicago zone. Hutchison shooting it back out. Here's Fraskolski. Passing it to Secord. He'll be beaten to the puck by Howard. Howard now to Moline. He just fires it into the Chicago zone. Going back is Dave Feemster, number 32. And as he touches it, an icing call against the Vancouver Canucks. And now some more heated words between Feemster and Darcy Rhoda of Vancouver. Feemster has been a big addition to this Chicago defense over the last part of the regular season. Originally from Detroit, played college hockey at Colorado College, a 6th-round draft choice of the Blackhawks in '78.
Dan, we see Alex Secord here lined up. You know, one of the main reasons that he's so awesome out there is because of his brute strength.
Here's Feemster, a shot blocked. Now Snep's trying to clear it. Feemster holding it in, but Tiger Williams then shot at the center. Here is Fox to Savard. Dennis Savard, a lead pass to Secord will be too far ahead. Lars Lindgren back to get it. Now he's bumped by Secord after the whistle, and they have some words.
Well, Dan, again, we were talking about Al Secord. You know, the guy scored 44 goals for this hockey club this year, but, you know, a lot of other goal scorers, the Wayne Gretzky's, the Dennis Savards, they're fairly lean hockey players as far as physically, but that's one thing that makes Seacard so difficult to stop on one-on-one situations or in the corner. Watch here. Ron Finn had his hand up, signaling a stoppage of play, but Al Secord and Harry Snep's kind of there right into it. But Secord, again, you see him on the beach in the summer, and I'll tell you, he's got some physique.
Here's a face-off coming up to the left of the Chicago goal. We look at Roger Nielsen, the Vancouver coach, formerly the coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres. Here's Savard against Gradine. Gradine getting it back to the point. That shot by Lindgren deflected wide. Here's Sharpley, tied up by Williams. Here's Savard flipping it to center. Lindgren giving it to Harold Snaps. Snaps to Gradine. Now the Canucks operate very cautiously coming out of their own zone. Here is Snaps to Gradine, who tipped it into the Chicago zone. Secord back to play the puck, and as he does, an icing call against Vancouver. 10:01 left here in the second period. It is still a 1-1 game. Thomas Gradine scoring for Vancouver in the first period. Terry Ruskowski for Chicago.
Well, again, we're looking at big, rugged Al Secord. Certainly an asset playing with Dennis Savard this year. You know, those two guys work so well together. I'm sure that Bob Pulford has got no thoughts of separating them as far as the next season goes, and even in this playoffs to a large degree.
Now the Blackhawks sending out the forward line of Lysiak, Bully, and Higgins, as the faceoff will be in the Vancouver zone. Gradine got the draw. Lysiak got the puck and shot wide. Now Bully and Lindgren battle for it. Lindgren trying to clear it. Here is Gradine. Couldn't get it out of the zone. Now the Canucks do shoot at the center. Back comes Higgins. He fires it in. Lindgren for Vancouver, trying to clear it back out. He did. Teams are playing very cautiously in this 1-1 game. Here is Moline. Ahead to Gradine. He moves in with a shot, and Esposito turned that aside. Bully now to Tim Higgins. Number 15, Higgins with a shot. Brodeur the save. Lysiak a shot. And Brodeur came out and blocked that. Beamster to Lysiak to Bully. He's checked, and back comes Gradine. Thomas Gradine, number 23, looks in front of the net, centered it. Esposito cleared it away on a pass intended for Smale. Here's Vancouver's Gradine again. Gradine trying to center. It's the back of the net. Now Smale got it in front, but it's cleared away by Lysiak. Colin Campbell at the point. That shot blocked. Hawks can't get it out. Ivan Bolderev. Bolderev centering one. Fraser had a whack at it, but Boldy and Fraser clear it to the corner and then fall on top of the puck in the faceoff will be in the Chicago zone. 8:40 left in period 2. It is still 1-1.
Well, it's a goaltender's battle without any question. At the opposite end, Vancouver Canucks goaltender Richard Brodeur making two big key saves on Higgins and Lysiak. But not to be outdone, Tony Esposito made a spectacular save on Thomas Gradine. So, you know, we're going to continue to see this excellent goaltending from both ends. It may well remain a 1-1 hockey game for a long time, Dan.
Big faceoff coming up in the Chicago zone. Vancouver has had more offense in this second period, Gary, than they did in the first.
Well, again, Dan, I think that it perhaps has something to do with the crowd. When you come out in your home building in front of an exciting crowd like this, you're bound to be pumped up for the initial 20 minutes.
Here's a shot by Smale, blocked. Now Colin Campbell, his shot wide of the net. The Canucks try and center it. Loose at the side of the goal, and Bill Gardner cleared it to Rick Patterson, back to Gardner. Gardner, number 14. Leaving it for Marsh. Here is Marsh, a backhander, and Brodeur the save on the short side. Now Campbell and Marsh get into it back of the goal. Colin Campbell and Peter Marsh. And the linesmen try and pry them apart.
Colin Campbell's certainly been in a few fights in his National Hockey League career of some 9 years. He and Peter Marsh going at it here. Colin has to be considered, even though he does not have the size, he's definitely a policeman on whichever team that he plays at. He'll stand up to anyone in the National Hockey League, regardless if he's a foot taller.
Colin Campbell scored 2 goals in one game, including the winner in sudden death overtime. What did Roger Nielsen say?
That had to be one of the funniest lines of the year when Roger Nielsen said, Colin Campbell doesn't even score in practice.
For our local affiliates, we'll pause now. You're watching Stanley Cup playoff hockey on the USA Network.
Lend a helping hand to your fellow man. A friendly smile, a gentle touch shows you care so much.
Hi, we're Gladys Knight in the Pips. There are over 900 community action agencies with neighborhood programs designed to help those in need. Find out today about the community action agency near you.
Coming up at the end of period 2.
Well, here's how that altercation between Campbell and Marsh got started back of the net. They each, by the way, received 5-minute major penalties for fighting at 11:40 here of the second period.
Well, that's probably a situation whereby Roger Nielsen isn't too pleased because Colin Campbell has been a fairly regular defenseman for them. And Marsh, on the other hand, just kind of been a fourth liner for this hockey club out there playing with Billy Gardner at center ice. Not really an even matchup. Vancouver like their defensemen.
There's a tough matchup out there head on now. Williams against Mulvey. Here is a lead pass shot in by Jerry Minor, and back after it is Doug Wilson for the Blackhawks. 1-1 the score. Game 1 of a best-of-7 Clarence Campbell Conference Championship Series. Here's Freskowski. Got it in front of the net and poked it wide. Jim Nill gets it number 8 for Vancouver. To number 20, Jerry Minor. Minor taken out of the play by Wilson, and Preston has it. He's being forechecked by Nill. In comes Williams. And they force a face-off in the Chicago zone. Tiger Williams and Jim Nill doing some aggressive forechecking for Vancouver.
You know, Jim Nill tried to beat Doug Wilson there on a one-on-one situation. And really, there's not too many players on either of these teams, respectively, that are going to beat any of these defensemen on one-on-one situations, except, say, a guy like Thomas Gradine for Vancouver, or certainly a guy like Dennis Savard, who we've already seen tonight beat some defensemen on one-on-one situations.
Rick Preston, who set up the goal for Chicago, going to the bench, number 16. He's a former player at Denver University. One of a flock of Blackhawks who came out of Denver University over the years. Keith Magnuson, Cliff Corral, Al Preston. Who am I missing? Here's Gradine on the faceoff. Doug Wilson gets it for Chicago. Wilson loses it, and a shot right on by Moline that Esposito had to handle. Now Al Secor to Sharpley at center. Sharpley shooting it in, but the play is stalled back anyway on a 2-line offside. And the faceoff will come back into the Chicago zone.
Well, Doug Wilson losing that puck there just as he came around behind the net. Moline ended up with a good scoring opportunity. And that's where, as we watch Wilson, he kind of lost possession of the puck here. Moline wasted no time in firing that shot to an alert Tony Esposito.
Esposito was ready and waiting. Here are the Canucks holding it in. Another shot by Moline that Esposito puts a glove on. And the Blackhawks are getting rather sloppy in their own end of the rink.
Well, that's one zone that you certainly can't make any mistakes on in a tight 1-1 hockey game. Both clubs, though, considering their good defensive record, make very few mistakes in their own end zone. Watch this drive. Tony Esposito, you know, one thing he does so well, if he's going to give a rebound, he's going to direct it off into the corners. If not, you can bet that that's going to be smothered right in front of the crease.
Thomas Gradine ready on a face-off against Dennis Savard. 1-1 the score, 7 minutes, 15 seconds left in the second period. Gradine and Savard on the face-off. Gradine gets the draw to Lindgren. Lindgren shooting. Esposito. That spread eagle style went down and made the save and held on to it.
Dan, let's talk about that spread eagle style for a second. You know, it's a tremendous advantage when there's a lot of close-in play and the guy goes to wind up to take a shot and there's a maze of players. You know, Tony being a fairly tall goaltender, when he goes down in that spread eagle style with the butterfly style, he can really see the puck at hip level much better.
Here's the face-off, and the Blackhawks come up with it. Number 32, Feimster. On right wing, it's centered to Sharpley. He shot it in. Lars Lindgren knocking it down. Cleared it back out for Vancouver. Now the Blackhawks Savard losing it. Here's Moline. Poked it over on the wing. Al Secord shot it near the line. Here is Harold Snep to Gradine. Gradine trying to go around Feimster. He does. Gradine couldn't center it as Fox tied him up. Good defensive play by that man right there, number 2, Greg Fox. He gives it to Secord. Too sharply, or at least to Savard, but broken up by Steps and shot back in. Feimster for the Blackhawks to Greg Fox. Fox now to Sharpley. He's checked in the play. It's shot back in by Williams. Fox for the Blackhawks. Trying to clear it.